We're live.
Okay, thank you very much, Jan. Okay, so good evening, members. For the benefit of anybody watching the YouTube feed, this is a meeting of the Tavistock Town Council Development, Management and Licensing Committee. And this is a properly constituted committee with delegated authority from full council to comment on planning applications and licensing applications in the parish. We start by confirming that all the voting members present are able to hear me. Councillor Ellis. Can you hear me, Councillor Ellis? Not a good start. He's frozen. Councillor Mrs. Crawford, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can hear you. Lovely.
Councillor Lewis.
Hello, Jen.
Councillor Mrs. Johnson.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Councillor Smith.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Councillor Squire.
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you.
Let's go back to Councillor Ellis. Are you able to hear me, James? Oh, you disappeared completely. I don't know what's going on in the office, but we've lost two councillors, the clerk and the assistant to the town clerk so far. Ah, James, you can hear me. Good, excellent. Yes, Councillor Fay, can you hear me? Yes, you can. Good. Okay, and we're now joined by the town clerk and by the assistant to the town clerk. I understand that Councillor Graham Parker will be a little bit late, but he is coming. I don't know about Councillor Benning. So without further ado, we'll move on into the agenda. And we'll start off with apologies for absence. Jan?
We have an apology for absence from Councillor Hutton.
Thank you. I expect members are aware that the Deputy Mayor had an accident recently and he's currently in hospital receiving some treatment. We understand he's doing well and we anticipate that he'll be out of hospital at the weekend. So moving on to item 2, minutes of the last meeting, to confirm the accuracy of the record, that it's an accurate reflection of the proceedings of the day. Page 1, 2, page 3, page 4, page 5. Are you all happy that these minutes are correct? Okay, yes, you're all showing your hands. So that's fine, thank you very much. Our Councillor Benning is now joining us with audio alone by the looks of it. Councillor Benning, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Brilliant, and we can see and hear you, so that's grand, thank you.
Couldn't get on the computer, I had to go onto the phone.
Okay, well, it seems to be working, so that's great.
Right.
Agenda item 3, declarations of interest. If any of you are aware of any interest to declare at this point, please do so. Councillor Mrs. Johnson?
281820. The old check to see whether you had an interest was if somebody was on your Christmas card list. This person is on my Christmas card list and has been a friend for probably the last 40 years.
Right, okay, thank you. Are there any other declarations of interest, please? No? If not, if you become aware of anything as we go through the agenda, please make that known to us as soon as you're aware of it. Okay, thank you. The next item is for Dartmoor National Park, and we've not received anything from them. Item 5 is town planning issues, 5A, Tavistock Conservation Area Boundary Appraisal and Management Plan. Now, I'm actually going to defer this item until Councillor Parker joins us, because he has been attending meetings with the World Heritage Partnership, who have put in a response to the management plan specifically, and he will report back to us. And then in view of that, we can decide whether we want to add anything to the comments we made last time that were drafted into a response by the town clerk. So I'm just going to park that item for a few minutes and then we'll come back to it in a little while. Item 6, general correspondence. We have none. Item 7, I'm going to park as well, but just a few words of introduction. I want to bring forward under this heading, urgent business, the government's white paper on planning. And I'm sure you're all aware that this is a consultation document brought out by the government, but it is effectively an expression of intent. Councillor Veining, would you mind muting your microphone for the moment? Thanks very much. It is a major document. It is proposing some very significant changes to the planning process. Other changes have already been enacted. For example, changes of the categories of use have been changed quite significantly with quite significant implications. But we still have time, if we wish, to comment on the white paper, because it is still out for consultation until the 29th of this month. I'll let Councillor Parker speak for himself when he gets here, but we do have an offer from Councillor Parker, if we so wish, for him to lead a briefing session to help members fully understand what is being proposed in the white paper. I know that many of you have attended a Devon Association of Local Councils briefing session. But to be honest, that spent most of the time talking about the use categories and also the general, help me, I've forgotten the phrase, General Permission of Development, something like that, which have changed as well. But that's happened. That's now been enacted. But the white paper hasn't yet been enacted, and we may wish to comment, we may not. DALC has put together a very full and very technical response to the white paper. And it may be that we simply would wish to endorse that. However, we may wish to make our own comments, but my feeling is if we do make our own comments, we should be doing it from the point of view of intelligent local people, rather than putting yet another highly technical response, because I feel that that has been done, not only by DELT, but no doubt by people up and down the country. And I'm not sure that we're going to add very much at a technical level. But there may be things that we feel we would like to say, which we feel are pertinent, particularly to Tavistock. So I'll just let that sink in. And with no further ado, I'm going to go on to the planning applications, and then I'm going to come back to items 5 and 7 when Councillor Parker joins us. So we'll move on to 8A, planning decisions. Does anybody have any comments to make about any of the planning decisions that have come back to us? No? Okay, that's fine. In which case, we'll move on to 8B, which are the new applications. And the first of those is 4 Plymouth Road. And this is an application for approval of details reserved by condition 3 of planning permission 146520 listed building consent. And it concerns diagrams and details of the proposed railings to be erected on the low wall in front of the premises. Does anybody have any comments to make, please? Pete, Councillor Squire.
I just thought rather superficially they were in keeping with the original design of the premises, but that was just a superficial observation. It didn't seem to be unwarranted in any way.
Yep, thank you. Just to remind members, we supported this application when it came in. We approved of the idea of reinstating the railings. Are there any other comments? Councillor Crawford?
Yes, I'd agree. And I think it goes back to the original railings that were there in 1931, I think, was what it said. So,
Right.
yeah, I'm in favour of this, actually. They looked really good.
Okay. Are there any? Yeah, Councillor Venning, please. You need to unmute yourself, Alec. We can't hear you at the moment, Alec. You need to unmute.
Yeah, I'm in favour of this. I think it's a very good idea.
Okay, good, thank you.
Way.
Okay. So is it your wish then that we support this application? Heads nodding. Yes, just if you're in favour, just show, please. Yep, that's fine. Okay. So we support this application. It will obviously go to the Heritage Officer anyway, but we will add our support.
Councillor Ward, I think Councillor Johnson had her hand up.
I'm sorry, Councillor Mrs. Johnson? No?
Only to vote, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so the next one on the list is 1 Strathcar Down Road. Householder application to convert a garage to form a day room, replace a flat roof with a pitched roof, form a carport, build a garden wall, an entrance canopy, and a small garden store. Do any members have any comments to make about this application, please? Councillor Mrs. Johnson, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This application and another one further along, it seems that the architect or the person putting the application in has kind of commented on the bat survey, which I thought was slightly unusual and a different approach to that taken by many. And they didn't seem to think in either case that there were any bats there. But I wonder if a full bat survey might have produced something. Just an observation.
Sure. I imagine this is something that will be picked up by the planning officer if they have any reason to think that a proper ecological assessment is made. We can make a comment if you wish. You'd like to do that? Okay. Councillor Ellis, please.
Yeah, I thought it was a good application. I thought it was an improvement on what was there, what it's replacing, and I have no issue with it, and I think we should support it.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Okay, then in which case I propose that we support this application, but we make a comment just asking the question whether it would be appropriate to undertake a formal ecological assessment to look for evidence of roosting bats. Would you be happy with that, Mrs. Johnson? Thank you. All in favour, please show. So did you want to say something, Councillor Smith?
Yeah, yes, I did. It's the architect on this one is Jeremy Maddock.
Yep.
And he quite often puts in an informal view on whether there's bats or other wildlife living in the premises.
Right.
He did exactly the same thing when he worked for me, and he does it as a just out of courtesy. I don't think there's probably anything there, but he always does it just to make sure.
Right. We'll just make the observation, and the planning officer will decide what to do with that observation. Okay, so the next one is 13 Newtake Road, Whitchurch. This is a trees application. Do any of you wish to make any comments? No? In which case we'll refer this to the tree officer, if that's your wish. Yes? Okay, thank you. So the next one is 6 Tiddybrook Road, Whitchurch. And this is a householder application for proposed single-storey rear extension, convert a single attached garage, installation of roof lights and a dormer window. Do any of you wish to make any comments about this, please? Councillor Ellis?
Again, didn't really see any issues with it whatsoever, and I feel we should support it.
Yep. Any other views? Yes, thumbs up, Councillor Venning. Councillor Smith. Yep, all happy. Okay, I agree. So we'll support that application. The next one, 4 Market Street, is for information only. It doesn't require a response from us, but it is an application to determine if prior approval is required for the proposed change of use from a shop, Class A1, to restaurant, Class A3, and takeaway, Class A5. Councillor Mrs. Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Although it's for information only, I was very concerned that the waste collection was going to be once a week and the waste bin was going to be situated at the front of the property, which is, I was quite concerned about that. That does seem, it's a fairly busy area, lots of footfall around there, and to just have the bins emptied once a week, especially in a very hot summer, is not going to be terribly pleasant.
No. No. What do you want to do with that observation?
If we make that observation, will that go back to the borough, or is this just for, you know, when it says for information only, does that mean that it's just a one-way, they're telling us, but they don't expect to have anything back?
I don't know the answer to that. Jan, are you able to comment?
I don't think, you know, it would stop us putting that comment in. I can certainly go back to them and raise that point.
Thank you. I'd appreciate it if you did.
Welcome, Councillor Parker.
Thank you, Chair. I'm sorry. There we go. I'm sorry to be late.
No, it's okay. You know, you did explain. Just so you know where we are, I have temporarily parked agenda item 5, town planning issues, and agenda item 7, urgent business, where I brought the white paper forward. We're currently going through the new applications. I suggest we complete that, and then we'll go back to items 5 and 7.
Thank you for that, Chair.
Okay. So the next application is 7 Deer Park Close. It's an application for tree work, and I've just realised I know the applicant reasonably well, therefore declare an interest. Any comments, members? Happy for us to refer? Yes. Councillor Mrs. Johnson, you often have something to say about trees.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I thought this looks okay, actually.
Excellent, thank you. Yeah. Right, moving on then. The next one is 9 Heather Close. Householder application for proposed single-storey rear sunroom extension to the dwelling house. Any observations, members? Councillor Squire.
It looked a reasonable application to me. I couldn't see anything majorly wrong with it.
Okay. Councillor Parker.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I agree with Councillor Squire. Just you might think that because this is so small, it probably ought to have been permitted development. It's one of those curious little bits where, under normal circumstances, because it's at the back, it would have been permitted development. But under the regulations that changed last year, because it also faces a highway, it needs planning permission. Otherwise, it wouldn't have needed permission at all. And I agree with Councillor Squire. I think it's a good application.
Thank you very much. For our education, Councillor Parker, so if the premises face one road and have another road behind it, and the extension is to the rear, then a planning application would be required.
Yes, under the revised application, the revised regulations, yes.
Yeah.
Whereas for many years, it had to be both. So it had to be the principal elevation and facing a highway to not be permitted development. Now it's one or the other.
Or the other.
Yeah, they changed "and" to "or."
Okay, thank you. That's helpful. The next one is Merriment House, Priory Gardens, and householder application for proposed conversion of single integral garage to form additional habitable accommodation and replace a garden shed. Are there any observations, please? Councillor Lewis, was that just scratching an itch or wanting to speak? Councillor Parker?
Yeah, Chair, it looks to me like it's one of those integral garages from 20, 30 years ago that is now too small to accommodate a family-sized car. So it seems to me it's a good use of a space.
Okay. Are you happy to support the application, members? Yep. Thank you very much. So that's supported. We now move on to Glanville Road, 31 Glanville Road. Householder application for proposed ground floor extension to dwelling house and replacement of garage roof. Observations and comments, members. Councillor Ellis, then Councillor Fay.
Yeah, when looking at the application, I didn't think there was enough detail held within the application submitted for planning in a conservation area, to be honest.
Thank you. I noticed there was no floor plan, for example.
Exactly.
Councillor Fay, I think, did you want to say something as well, Tony?
Very similar. James and I discussed this just before the meeting. Same issues.
Righto. So you are of a mind about that point, that there's not rather little information. Yeah. Okay. Councillor Parker.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, absolutely right. This is in the conservation area and in the World Heritage Site.
Yep.
As James has said, it's lacking existing and proposed layout plans. It's lacking existing elevation, and more than anything, it's lacking a heritage statement. As I say, it's not even on the edge. This one's inside the World Heritage Site. I mean, I think somewhere we have to put a marker down. These applications should not be getting validated. And from a World Heritage perspective, we've already had a conversation with West Devon about this, and they've agreed that things are getting through the validation process that shouldn't. This is one, and I think we'd be perfectly entitled to object on those grounds.
Okay, thank you. Any other views? Councillor Fay, please. Tony?
Yes, we've had this on several occasions.
We have.
Yeah, we've had this on several occasions. That does every application within the heritage site have to have a supporting heritage statement? Because I've
yes,
this on several occasions. One made clear in their package of their application.
Yes. If I may answer that, Chair.
Yeah, please go ahead.
If you start from the National Planning Policy Framework, the NPPF, there are 13 paragraphs dedicated to just that. That sometimes, for a small application, it may only be a short statement. Sometimes for a large application, it may be a long statement, but every application in a World Heritage Site and a conservation area should address the heritage aspects. That goes through to the policies of the Joint Local Plan, which require the same. And then there's what there's called the local validation list, and that's the list of documents that applications should have. Now, the list isn't the same for every application. So an application that's in an AONB, for example, will have one set of requirements. an application that's in the World Heritage site will have another set, but they are clearly laid out in a list. Most applicants, I guess, wouldn't know, because they wouldn't know where to find the local validation list. But every applicant who employs a planning consultant or an architect around here should know by now, because that validation list's been out there for 20 years. And then you've got the validation process. When an application comes in, there is an officer who sits there and ticks off should be ticking off, sorry, against the validation list. Have they put in what they're supposed to have put in? And if they haven't, they should be getting a little email saying, sorry, we're not validating your application until you've provided a drainage statement or elevations or layout plans in this case. And it should not have got this far. But now it has got this far. We've got an application in front of us that doesn't show that they're not harming the character and appearance of the conservation area or the World Heritage Site. So it's against policy, and sadly, it's one of those that really I think we ought to be objecting to.
Okay, any response to that, members? Councillor Mrs. Crawford, please.
Just to say, would it be sensible to speak to West Devon about them using a checklist so that can be, if they don't use it already, maybe they need a reminder that all of these things should be attached to each application. Just a thought.
Yeah, we've had that conversation. We had a meeting with West Devon, prompted by the World Heritage Partnership. The UNESCO were told by the World Heritage Partnership in April about the arrangements for the registration of planning applications. And of course, although the arrangements in Cornwall are very clear and they're being implemented, I pointed out to the World Heritage team that in West Devon, that's not the case, that regularly the town council gets applications in the World Heritage Site that don't have heritage statements. The World Heritage team took that up, raised it with West Devon's officers, who confirmed that they will train their staff and make sure that it happens. We'll be having another meeting with them hopefully in about a month's time. And if they don't report back that that's being done, I'll report back to you as effectively your rep on the World Heritage Partnership. But that is in hand, Councillor Crawford. It would do no harm, though, if that was reinforced by the same statement from this committee. It would help us.
Bear with me a moment, members. I'm just looking at the application just to remind myself what actually was available to us. And we have the application form, a general plan, a site location plan, a user-defined attachment, which is the wildlife table.
Yep.
A site notice, another user-defined attachment, which is an elevation. Unusually, it's LePage, the architects, they're usually very thorough. Yeah, so I think, is that proposed or? No, that's existing. So I don't think we've got a proposed elevation, have we?
No, we're missing the existing and proposed layouts and the existing elevation.
No, we've got the existing elevation. We haven't got the proposed elevation.
Oh, I thought it was the other way around.
I think I've got that right. I'll just look again. Just need to rotate it. There we go. No, it's existing elevations. I thought I'd seen a diagram with the proposed, actually.
Glanville Road. I've got the drawing up. It claims to be proposed elevation. No, it's proposed elevations.
Hang on. There must be another one. Bear with me a moment. Let's look at this again. No, that's just the wildlife table. I don't understand this. So I've got on my screen 7 documents.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah.
Yep. The first one is user-defined attachment.
Yeah.
Which, when you open it, I'm sorry to be nitpicking, is existing.
Well, that's interesting. I wonder if, because that wasn't there earlier.
I'm not fooling myself, am I? It definitely says
that is existing.
Yeah. Okay.
Correct.
Right. So then we've got a site notice, a site location plan, a user-defined attachment, which is the wildlife table, the application form, a general plan,
which is the
proposed elevation.
It is indeed.
So it's the labeling that's confusing.
Yeah. Yep.
So we have got existing and proposed
elevations. What we haven't got layout plans.
No, we haven't.
I'm not even sure we've got a site plan.
There's a site location plan.
Yeah, no, sorry, there is, but there isn't a block plan. That was it.
There isn't a block plan, no.
And there's no heritage statement.
No. Okay, so if we are going to oppose this on the grounds of insufficient information, I think we should state what we feel is missing.
Indeed.
Otherwise, if we don't, we'll be challenged to do so, or we may be. So it seems to me what's missing then is the existing and proposed floor plan.
Yep.
A block plan and a heritage statement. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay. I'll just close that down again so I can see you all again. Right. So members, my proposal is that we oppose this application on the grounds that there is insufficient information to be satisfied that the proposal is not harmful to the Tavistock Conservation Area and World Heritage Site, and that we specifically say that the following documents were not on the website: existing floor plan, proposed floor plan, block plan, and heritage statement.
Yep. And Jan, if you want the references to policy, the references are Dev 21, Dev 22, and paragraphs 189 to 202 of the National Planning Policy Framework.
So members, are you happy that we proceed along?
Yeah.
In that way?
Very much.
Would all in favour please show? Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you. Just wait for Jan to give me the nod. Okay, Jan. Okay, so the next one, we have a sort of a joint interest. Tavistock Town Council, Pierce's Meadow, application for tree work. Any observations? Mrs. Johnson?
I think we should support this. I think Wayne has obviously looked at it. I know it needs to happen, and as a town council, we should support our own application.
Okay. Is everyone happy to support this application? Thumbs up from Councillor Venning, Lewis, Squire, Smith, Crawford. Yep. Okay, we're all in favour of that. So we'll support this application. Okay, thank you. Right, so we now move on to 25 Fitzford Cottages. As if you needed reminding, this is a Grade 2 listed property in the World Heritage Site and in the Tavistock Conservation Area. It's there are 2 parts to this: listed building consent for a chimney rebuild and householder application for chimney rebuild. and the proposal is to replicate the original design. Pre-application advice has been provided by the Heritage Officer. He had specific recommendations about the bricks to be used and the mortar, and the application, we are told, complies with the Heritage Officer's advice. Members, do you have any comments? Councillor Parker?
Just to draw a contrast with Glanville Road, this is for a chimney,
Yes.
about the smallest amount of work that you could do, and a proper heritage assessment was submitted. It was only a page, but it talks about the significance of it, the materials, why they're doing it, why they're using the right materials, and that's all these applicants need to do. It's not a tick box, it's a justification that makes people think what they're doing. And I think this is an absolutely splendid example of how a small application should be handled.
Okay, thank you. Are members happy to support the two parts of this application? Yep. Supported. Okay, so that brings us to Hollydown on Butcher Park Hill. And I had to sort of work out where this was, but I see that it's pretty much opposite Rosebank, which is a property we've discussed in the past. So it's just above whatever it's called, that road that goes off to the left there. Householder application for extension to the front and side.
Chair, Councillor Johnson's trying to get in.
Oh, sorry, Mrs. Johnson.
I think you've missed an application, Mr. Chairman.
All right, which one?
16 Priory Close.
Well, yeah,
Oh,
Priory Close.
Yes, you're quite right. Apologies. Okay, so 16 Priory Close. Householder application for conversion of a garage into a livable space and extension above to form a two-storey structure. Any comments or observations, please? No, nobody's hands going up. Yep, thumbs up. All happy to support? Anybody not happy? Is that a happy or not happy, Councillor Fay?
I'm not happy.
Yeah.
Happy.
Councillor Crawford's waving like crazy.
Councillor Crawford, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I wasn't particularly happy with this at all, because it's a two-storey structure, and I thought it changed the whole facade of the building. Actually, you know, there were two sort of turrets, or the way that the two pitched roofs met. I just didn't know how in keeping that was going to be. I don't know this road, so I didn't know how in keeping that was going to be with the rest of the houses on the road.
Priory Close is not in a designated area, and it's not a listed building.
No, but it's still. I just felt that it would look very, very different. That's all, and it just looked quite big to me. Those are my observations. As it was a two-storey structure.
Are you concerned enough to feel that we should be objecting to it? And if so, what would be the grounds?
No, not necessarily. I just wanted to raise those points. All I got in my notes is a big structure. It changes it into a very big structure that I didn't know was okay. And okay, it's not in a conservation area, but it didn't seem to me to be in keeping. So I just wanted to make those points. But if everyone's happy to go along with it, then that's fine.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Parker, please.
Yes, it's an interesting point that Leslie raises. I mean, there are some streets that rely on the same structure being repeated from one building to the next. And Glanville Road is an absolutely cracking example where you've got a pair of Victorian or Edwardian villas repeated all the way down the road. And it's important that those front facades be kept. But one of the interesting things about Priory Road and Priory Close as well is its variety. You know, really, there aren't two houses that are exactly the same. Some are bungalows, some are not. This one, I actually think it's quite a clever use of the space above a garage to create a house that was already different, that's even more different. And I think after a while, people will just think it's a normal part of the character of this road. I think it's quite a clever little scheme.
Okay. Any other comments, please? Councillor Squire, Pete?
I agree with Graham. The houses in Priory Close are all effectively different, and the change to one would not stand out in any comparison to any others there. So I see no intrusion upon any particular uniform facade.
Okay, Johnny, good. So are you happy to support this application, members? Okay, all in favour, please show. Are you abstaining, Leslie? Yep, okay, that's fine. Okay, so that now brings us on to Hollydown on Butcher Park Hill. And this is a householder application for extension to the front and side of the property, improvements to the drive entrance and parking. Any comments? Councillor Ellis, please.
Yeah, looking at the plans of this, I thought it was quite a big extension, potentially drowning out the house and being able to differentiate the house and the extension. But my biggest concern was the planting of the trees along their boundary. I feel like in the future this is going to block the view and potentially light of the houses to the rear. So that was my biggest concern.
Removal of dead tree. Hang on. Just remind me, James, does this involve the planting of new trees, or are they existing trees? Councillor Parker's nodding his head.
Yeah, looking at looking at the plans, they're looking at putting in, I think it's cypresses from my memory that are going to grow at least 6 meters tall. They say, and I felt it would block the view to the rear properties.
Mr. Chairman, the size on the drawing says they're going to reach 2 meters in 10 years, estimated.
Which drawing are you looking at, Barry?
The north elevation viewed from road.
Okay.
It says it sits because the building actually sits down from the road. You drive into it and drop down into the area.
.6 feet after 10 years, yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't believe that.
So
Wow.
that must, is that onto Butcher Park Hill?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, whose view is it going to interrupt then? Because the properties opposite, Rosemount, for example, are higher up, aren't they? They must be looking over the top.
Sorry, can I just interrupt? No, I agree with what James is saying, because I thought the same. It's Cole Meadow. It's a funny name, Cole something Meadow. It's a housing estate. It's quite a small, compact one off Wyatt's Road that it backs onto, and I have to say that thought went through my mind as well about overshadowing those gardens there.
Okay, well,
sorry, Chairman. If you look at it from the road, the actual road view, if you look at the property to the rear, there's several other properties that their view would overlook their garden and look up onto the hill on Butcher Park Hill. And I just feel that these trees won't limit themselves to the 6 foot that they've stated they will, and will grow much taller, and will just take away those houses.
now I'll turn to our our resident expert, but my understanding that there is no entitlement to a view. Loss of light is another matter, but loss of a view, is that a consideration, Graham?
No, and I mean, I understand what James is saying. I've got the Google Earth Street View up here. Between this property and the houses at Wyatt Road behind, there's at least one tree, and I think there's another one behind it that are 20 feet high. So I mean, there is precedent, but the only view that would be being blocked is a view onto Butcher Park Hill and Hazley and Rosewood, isn't it?
Rosebank, yeah.
And I doubt that could be called in any way, in any event, an important view. There's only one, as far as I'm aware, there's only one protected view in the whole of the country, and that's the view to Tower Hill in the centre of London. The rest of the country has to live with two principles. One is the loss of daylight and sunlight. Now, that is a real objection. And the other one is the loss of what they call borrowed amenity. So if you live in a terraced house and you're looking out onto fields, and effectively the only green that you can see is those fields, then there is an argument that building houses on those fields would harm your amenity. But that's not the case here. So I doubt that West Devon could stand up an objection on the basis of loss of the view. Sorry, much as I personally don't particularly like this application at all. I think it's an improvement on what's there, but in this immediate setting of a World Heritage Site and conservation area, it could have been so much better. I mean, James is right. It's hardly an extension. It's basically a new house. And if you're designing a new house, you can do so much better on that plot. I mean, my view is that I don't think we've got any case to object, but I really can't find it in my heart to support this one. My view would head towards neutral. I really just disappointed in it. It could have been so much better.
Okay, that's an interesting view. Anybody else? Okay, what do you want to do?
Can I move that we take a neutral view?
Okay. Anybody support that? Pete? Okay, and Barry, in which case, those in favour, please show. And that's unanimous. Thank you very much. That's what we'll do. Okay, that brings us to the final new application, which is 20 Priory Close, and this is tree work. They want to remove dead tree stumps, 15 yews. Thuya is yew, isn't it? Yes. And replant to resurrect the hedgerow. Mrs. Johnson?
Thank you. I usually have something to say about trees. I thought this was an excellent plan, and it was a good application, and I think we should support it.
Yes, I agree with you. Yeah. Everyone happy to support this application? Yes. Thumbs up, everyone. Thank you very much. We'll support the application. Brilliant.
Chair.
Good.
Chair.
Yeah.
May I just go? I'm sorry I joined late, and I joined one past the Market Street application. There's an interesting little development on applications like this. Currently, all of the A classes, A1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, are in one use class.
Yep.
And you can change the use from 5 to 4 to 3 to 2 to 1, going, as it were, down the ladder without planning permission. Under the new use classes order, use classes A1 and A2 are now put into a new use class, which is class E, and all the others have become sui generis. So from here on in, there's no question of any permitted development rights obtaining for a change of use to or from a use class A5, because A5 doesn't exist anymore. It's sui generis, and every change to or from will require planning permission. So that's something that's happened literally within the last 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So that item was for information only, but presumably they will need to obtain prior approval then.
Yes. Well, no, it's not prior approval. They actually need
formal application.
I noticed the application came in 8 days beyond the date that the new use classes order kicked in. So they do need planning permission.
Oh, right. Okay. So that will be coming back to us by the sound of it.
I would be surprised if it didn't.
Okay. Good. Thank you. So now we're going to go back to agenda item 5, the Tavistock Conservation Area boundary, the appraisal and the management plan. And you recall that we discussed this last time. We made various points. The clerk wrote a draft response, but there have been some developments since then. And Councillor Parker, in his capacity as on the World Heritage Partnership, has been involved with this. And I'll ask Graham if you would brief us and tell us how things are moving on, please. You're muted, Graham.
Yeah, World Heritage Partnership had asked for a meeting with West Edinburgh Council to talk about 2 main things. One was the relationship between the World Heritage site and the joint local plan, which has got out of kilter. The second one was the issue that we've already discussed about the way in which West Devon are policing heritage assessments and generally the law and regulations relating to conservation. But the third one arose from a third one arose from the Conservation Area Management Plan, which World Heritage had formed a view on, the officers of World Heritage had formed a view on, and felt that it was worth discussing that view with the West Devon officers. And so we added it to the agenda. And this is not me speaking, this is Deborah Bowden and Ben Dancer. It just so happens that I agree with pretty well every word that Deborah and Ben has said. And essentially what they've said is that the original Conservation Area Management Plan and appraisal was a good document. It went too far. The management plan in particular went too far in some areas. And I understand, personally, I've always understood why the town council felt that it couldn't adopt the original management plan, because basically it was telling the town council how to run its business and and it was straying well away from what a conservation area management plan should do. So I've always had real sympathy, even when I was responsible for this management plan as a councillor in West Devon, I always understood and respected the town council's view. Now, in trying to put that right, the World Heritage Partnership believes that West Devon have gone too far the other way. Effectively, they've torn up the management plan and discarded it and replaced it with the dozen or so pages that Carl took us through last time. I have to say that they also agree with everything that Carl suggested to us last time, and I don't think we should affect the comments that we agreed last time. What we're suggesting is that we add to them. Adding to them in this way, that's the removal of the Conservation Advisory Plan, Management Plan, and its replacement with this short document has thrown the baby out with the bathwater, effectively. All the good stuff that was in there about the relationship between the town centre and other policies like World Heritage, like the joint local plan, that's all gone. Likewise, the character, the area by area character policies, for example, about the use of UPVC windows, which is something that this committee has commented on, that's all gone. And it's not being replaced in the local plan. Now, I'll pause there for a moment and say, you looked at the supplementary planning documents a couple of months ago and made a lot of comments on it. And one of the comments was about conservation. Now, the conservation policies that are in the supplementary planning document are actually quite good. They're a good, thorough look at how you deal with a planning application in a conservation area, except they don't apply to Tavistock, because they only apply to towns and villages and conservation areas that don't have a management plan. And so we're in the curious situation that the supplementary planning document doesn't apply to Tavistock because it has a management plan, and West Devon are proposing to abandon the management plan. So in some senses, one of the things that World Heritage were pointing out is that a town that has listed buildings, a conservation area and World Heritage status ought to have the strongest conservation policies in the west of England. And yet Tavistock at the moment is heading towards having some of the weakest, because even the supplementary planning document doesn't apply to it. So basically and now I've got the notes from the World Heritage team in front of me. What they're saying is, if it's to be used as a basis for a new management plan, then its scope should be broader in terms of its getting it beyond what it's talking about repair and maintenance. That's number one. Number two, World Heritage is the biggest, most important element in the conservation armoury in this country. The World Heritage site paid £5,000 to help the publication of this document, and they are deeply disappointed that World Heritage is not front and centre in either the appraisal or the conservation area management plan. They're disappointed in the content of the management plan. They're disappointed that the appraisal, that they haven't taken the opportunity to update the appraisal. What they've done is they've left the appraisal as it is and added what you saw last time, an addendum. Now, in other words, you've got to read two documents. Now, if you look for the justification about why that's done, it's that the conservation studio was run by two people, and both of those people have died in the interim. And it is said that we shouldn't touch the appraisal, but leave it as a testament to those people. Well, I knew both of those people, and they would be appalled at that, frankly. You know, they drew up that appraisal as a living document to be updated, moved forward, to recognise. I mean, we've achieved so much as a town council in the past 10 years, and that appraisal doesn't recognise it. So, I mean, I've been through the appraisal, and I don't think it's a massive job, quite frankly, to bring that document up to date. So the World Heritage comments are talking about updating that rather than adding a supplement to it. And they're saying, let me read the last ones, because it touches on something that Carl implied last time. Most of the actions appear somewhat small scale. And whilst they're a good start, they seem to be quite general in terms of their wording and modest in terms of their skill. Plans for how to grow Tavistock in either a physical or metaphorical sense would enhance the management plan, setting out strategic actions, recommendations as to how future development can be accommodated with reference to the historic environment, which is exactly what the original management plan tried to do. So basically, the World Heritage Partnership are saying that it's gone too far the other way, and really the principles of the original plan need to be reinstated but simply updated. The officers of West Devon, and I'll say now, Graham Lawrence wasn't there, he couldn't be there. It was the joint local plan policy officer and the head of strategic planning, Chris Brooks, sorry, head of placemaking, Chris Brooks, who were there, and they expressed sympathy with those views and have agreed that after the end of the consultation, they'll take stock and meet again with the World Heritage Partnership. I was a bit cheeky and said that I couldn't believe that the town council should be not be invited into that meeting, and they've agreed, and also to invite some of the significant heritage interests in town, particularly the Tavistock Heritage Trust, who I believe share the same views. So that's where we are between World Heritage and the West Devon Borough Council. It's actually all quite good and friendly and mutually supportive, because basically what we're saying is, what as World Heritage, that you've gone too far the other way. My suggestion is that we should endorse that view, or we should associate ourselves in that view and effectively invite ourselves to the meeting. I'm happy to answer questions, Chair, if people have them.
Yeah, okay, thank you very much, Graham. So members, this is an opportunity, please, if you've got any comments and observations to make. I think last time we discussed the management plan, we weren't sure whether what we were faced with was a standalone document that replaced the existing management plan, or whether it was to be read alongside it. It's now very clear that it is meant to replace the existing management plan, and it's comparing apples with pears. They're completely different beasts and serve rather different purposes. So you've heard Graham's report back from the World Heritage Partnership about the shortcomings of the documents. I'd be really interested to hear what your thoughts are, bearing in mind that we're here as representatives of the town. Over to you, members. Councillor Squire, please.
To be honest, I can't pretend to say I understand very much of it, and I would probably be more enlightened if I read it more thoroughly. But I do rely upon Councillor Parker's insight into this, and possibly that of yourself as the chair. And I think our involvement would be well fronted by such presence at such a meeting. Thank you.
Okay. Any other views, please? Madam Mayor, sorry to put you on the spot, but I'd be interested to know what your thoughts are.
Thank you. Broadly along the lines of that Councillor Parker's outlined, really. I think it's important that the Town Council has a voice here. And I think, we need to make sure that we are heard within the process.
Okay. Any other member views? Can I ask the town clerk whether he wishes to say anything?
Excuse me, thank you, Chairman. I think the only thing I would add is that when we fed in the preliminary response to West Devon, the Conservation Officer did offer to provide at the end of the consultation period a session, should the Town Council's DM&L committee wish it, to feedback on the responses received and the next steps in relation to the management plan and the appraisal. And I'm anticipating from the feedback here that would be something that members would wish to take up on. But it would be helpful to know if that's something you do wish to take up on, in order that we can put in place the necessary arrangements.
Okay, thank you. Can I just clarify, would that be a separate event, separate to what Councillor Parker has referred to with the town council being represented at a meeting of the WHP and the borough to discuss the way forward?
It was an offer made before that meeting took place, so it would have been envisaged to be separate. I think the main difference here is I would anticipate that the meeting Councillor Parker's referring to would have town council representation, i.e. 1 or 2 councillors, whereas this was an offer either to the DM&L committee or to the whole council to be able to participate and engage. So I don't think the two are mutually exclusive. I think they're two different things. Clearly, the World Heritage Site meeting will have a focus upon things such as whether or not there were particular requirements attached to the funding which they provided, and we'll have a World Heritage Site emphasis. The town council would want to be involved in that, but that's a different thing to a specific meeting available for all members of the council. Of course, if that one is intended to be available for all members of the council, then potentially one will negate the other.
Okay. Graham.
Just a quick observation on that. My own view is that so many people are saying the same things that I think a meeting that involved us all in one place, mutually reinforcing each other, would be much better. And I can say that, I mean, Ben Dancer, who is the planner for the World Heritage Partnership, has for many years been a planner for West Devon, and has a real affinity with Tavistock, and some of his detailed comments are exactly the comments that I suspect that town councillors would want to make anyway. My own view is that we should all be in the same room together.
So can I just clarify, when you say we all, the we being whom?
Oh, the three that have been mentioned so far are World Heritage, Town Council and Tavistock Heritage Trust.
Okay, but is there an argument for taking up the Heritage Officer's offer to come and feed back to the Town Council? Because heritage is such an important issue for the town that other members, members other than members of this committee, may wish to hear what's going on and wish to express a view that we then could take to the sort of meeting that you're talking about.
Yeah, it could happen either way around. It could be that you have the general meeting first, agree the principles, and Graham comes to talk to us and discuss with us how we take those principles and apply them in practice. It could happen either way around, and I would never try to prevent any officer coming to talk to us.
No, sure. Okay, so members, what do you think? How do you think we should go ahead with this? Help me. We're not moving on until somebody says something.
Yeah, I if it helps, I drafted out a response that we might make in my note to you the other day, and I wonder whether that might form the basis for a response this evening.
Okay. Would it help members if we ask Councillor Parker to read out his proposed addendum?
Yes,
Are you happy with that, Graham?
I've got it in front of me, yes.
Okay.
And this is an addition to the response that the town clerk drafted as a result of last time's meeting.
Okay.
So, while understanding the resource and I can email this through to you, Jan. While understanding the resource constraints placed on WDBC and the need to ensure that the management plan remains focused and relevant, Tavistock Town Council considers that the review of the plan may have gone too far in limiting the review's ambitions and scopes, and endorses the comments made by the World Heritage Partnership. Following the close of the consultation, we would welcome a discussion with West Devon Borough Council, along with other relevant organisations, to agree to work together to complete the review in a form that meets the objectives of all who are involved in the heritage of Tavistock.
Okay, members, any comments, please? Town clerk as well. The only thought I had was I almost wonder whether I would delete placed on WDBC, because the resource constraints affect the town council as well, as we are the owner of most of the heritage properties in the town. You're muted, Graham.
The reason that I put that in is I feel so sorry for Graham Lawrence. He has 5 days a week.
Yeah.
He works for South Hams and West Devon. So he's split between two authorities. He has a caseload that involves him dealing with virtually every significant conservation listed building application in West Devon and South Hams. And he puts his heart and soul into work with the World Heritage Partnership and Tavistock Heritage Trust, the Guildhall, and he is stretched every which way. The Borough Council took the first resolution to create the review of the management plan in December 2015. It has taken him nearly 5 years to find the time to do what he has. And that's why I mentioned the resources, because Graham is the resource. It's true to say that even his colleagues some of his colleagues aren't aware of this document, and there's a willingness both from the World Heritage Partnership and from a number of the heritage organisations in this town to help Graham, to support him. In fact, in the way that they helped and supported the Conservation Studio back in 2008, 2009. This first management plan was drawn up with assistance from outside the local authorities. And I guess I was just reminding the Borough Council in a gentle kind of way that we understand that, and we're here to help as well as to throw brickbats.
Okay. I think I'd read the word resource in a different way, but now I see entirely what you're getting at. Yeah.
Yes. In this case, it's staff resources.
It's human resource. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I hadn't read it like that. Okay. So members, there's a proposal that we add the paragraph that Graham has just read out to what we have previously agreed with the clerk. What are your thoughts about that, please? I think, Leslie, were you trying to say something?
Sorry. Yeah, I was saying definitely. I thought it was excellent what Graham read out just now.
Okay, thank you, Alan. Anne, were you trying to say something? Yes.
Yes, please. Yeah, I would support that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Alec? You're muted, Alec. We can't hear you, Alec.
Yeah, I would support that as well. I think it's a very good statement to make.
Okay, thank you. Leslie, you're nodding away there.
Yes, sorry. Yeah, no, I agree as well. I think it's a good statement to support that. Yeah.
Okay. Could I just ask the clerk whether you have any comments to make, Carl?
No, I mean, we can forward that to the planning authority as an addendum to the provisional response that we submitted, and say the two should be read together if that's the colleagues.
Okay, thank you.
It's just gone.
Okay, in which case, I propose that that's what we do. All in favour, please show. That's agreed. Okay, thank you very much. So more is clearly going to happen on that subject. So that brings us then to the final item, which is item 7, which is urgent business. And under this, I've decided to bring forward the government white paper on planning. Hopefully you'll all have had a chance to have a a glance at it, maybe look at an executive summary or at least the headings, and you may have a little bit of a feel of what it's about. But it is a pretty major overhaul of planning procedures and does change things quite radically. And now feedback is being provided by all sorts of bodies, and I've seen the feedback from the Devon Association of Local Councils, which is very comprehensive, as you'd expect, given who's written it. And I'm not sure that we need to submit such a technical response, but there may be things we wish to say that we feel are relevant specifically to Tavistock. But the first question is, do members feel that they understand enough about the proposed changes to be able to voice a comment or an opinion? I'd just be interested to know what you think, members, please. Councillor Crawford.
Yes, I attended that the planning session. I've got down here 17th of September that was on.
Yes.
I've got very few notes. I know they said they were going to make the slides available. I don't know whether I've missed that or not, because I actually take things in by reading. They haven't, have they, Graham? They haven't sent the slides
I haven't
through.
seen them.
Right, okay, so I haven't missed it, because I actually take in things much better if I read them. But I thought you mentioned something about the possibility of, maybe I'm landing Graham in it now, but providing some training on it or some further information on that.
Okay,
Did I get
what I'm
that
interested
right?
in at the moment is just determining whether you feel there is the need for that.
For me, there is.
Okay,
Definitely.
thanks.
I appreciate
Yep.
that. Thank you.
Councillor Smith, you're nodding. Councillor Squires, giving the thumbs up. Other members? Okay, we have until the 29th of October to submit any comments that we may wish to make. So we've got a little while, but not that much. And Councillor Parker has very kindly offered to give us a briefing. And perhaps at this point, it'd only be fair, Graham, to turn to you to say what your thoughts are.
I'm very happy to provide a briefing and then a question and answer session involved in that. I, as a member of the Devon Association's County Committee, I was asked, sorry, Anne.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I was asked if I would draft the DALC response, which I have done, and there is so much in that paper that's in the white paper that it's difficult to absorb, and it took me 24 pages, I think, in the end to summarise DALC's comments. That's doing the rounds at the moment around the other county members, but at the moment people are saying yes, it does represent their views. So what I'm happy to do, if this is your wish, is I can take you through the headlines of the white paper. And just referring back to Leslie's comments, you'll recall that that training session covered the use classes order and the general permitted development order, but then Graham, the trainer, actually said, well, I haven't had time to read the white paper yet. So there was virtually nothing in the training session on the white paper itself. I'm happy to take you through the headlines of that, and I think that would give you enough to follow up with questions and answers. I won't cover everything that's in there because I am absolutely certain that the algorithms on how the housing numbers are calculated will send you to sleep exactly as it sends me to sleep, but I can tell you something about the assumptions behind it. So yes, Chair, if you want me to run a little training session, a webinar, question and answer for the whole council, if that's the desire, I can certainly do that, and I'm happy to do it.
I think if we do anything, we ought to offer it to all councillors, not just members of this committee. Anne, I think you wanted to say something.
Yes, thank you. I also attended the DOUBT planning training, and the assistant to the town clerk sent out, I think it was the next day, the slides and the supporting material that came with it. So it was sent out to everybody who went to it.
My apologies. I've missed that. I apologise.
Well, I've just checked, and I've received it. I could find it in my emails, so it was there. But I think it would be good to have some training that gave all members an idea of the implications and the changes that are about to or proposed to be happening, and actually not to do a technical response, but actually something that relates to Tavistock, the town that we live in and the town that we represent. So I think, you know, that would be perhaps a bit of a different approach to all the technical returns that they'll get. And I think this is our opportunity to say what we think about it.
Yeah. Okay. So do you all feel that it would be a helpful exercise? Okay, right. So the next issue then is to determine when. Clearly where is easily answered. But when is the next question? Now the next free Tuesday evening, I believe, looking to Jan, is the 27th, which is only 2 days before the deadline to submit feedback. But that Tuesday evening is available if members wish to stay to a Tuesday, or we could try to find another evening. I understand that not everybody will be able to make whatever date we choose, but
my own view, Chair, is that it should be sometime next week to give time for a Tavistock response to be put together. I mean, I wholeheartedly agree with Councillor Johnston that that one of the things that's missing from the white paper is any sense of place. You can see it applying to London, you can see it applying to the big cities and to the southeast, but the sense of what's going on in the places in this country is missing. And I know some of the other parish councils and town councils in the region are using the DALC note as a basis for their discussions as well. So yeah, I entirely agree, which means that really we've got to give time for a response to be put together that reflects Tavistock. So I know that, and this is just diverting a little, it's possible that West Devon may be approaching us for a meeting on the 21st to do with Plymouth Road. But other than that, I'm free to brief members at any time that you wish. Morning.
That would mean that Tuesday and Wednesday evenings are out because there's B&P on the Tuesday. I mean, I must say, from my point of view, Monday or Thursday would suit reasonably well.
Thursday would suit me absolutely fine.
Just looking around the screen, would Thursday be suitable for most of you? This, by the way, would be an informal meeting. It wouldn't be a broadcast meeting. And the attendance of officers would be optional, not expected, if you see what I mean.
So are we talking?
They spend enough hours. They spend enough evenings.
Yeah, that would be good for me. We're talking about Thursday the 22nd, is that right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, it's good for me. Obviously, I'm gonna put it in the diary already.
Okay. Yeah.
5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Jan, can you distribute that to all members, please? Officers are obviously welcome, but they mustn't feel obliged.
Oh, Carl's face is a picture.
I shall be with the accountant at that time on Thursday night. So unfortunately, I probably won't be here. Well, I'll be here, but I won't be there, if you see what I mean. My apologies.
Be a jolly evening by the sound of it, yeah.
Wrong Thursday.
Oh, you will be with us.
Thursday.
I'll think of an excuse for next one then if I can.
Okay, so Thursday it is then. So it'll be an opportunity to get our heads around it a little bit more and to have a bit of a discussion about what we think we should be saying with regard to Tavistock.
I'll try and get some slides out to you in advance.
Yep, that'd be nice.
You can follow.
And of course, for all members, not just members of this committee.
Indeed.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we'll call it a day at that, unless there's any other urgent matters. Okay, in which case, thank you all very much for your attendance and contributions. And that's the end of the meeting. See you all soon. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for your help, Jan.
Yeah, thank you, Jan. Thank you, Carl.
Thanks, Paul. Well done.
Bye.
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 That's it.